2 years worth of hamburgers. Can't get going on this one here. I think I'm gonna move. Well, yes.
All right, sorry I'm late. We will call this meeting to order. Start with roll call.
Gonna get settled.
Know what they're talking about over there, but they're putting this here.
All right,
Nice to see you.
Chairman Butt is gone, Chairman Cameron,
Commissioner Cameron is here.
Commissioner, sorry. Commissioner DeGroot,
Yeah, I'm here too.
Commissioner Stevens.
Here.
Mayor Kramer,
Voted.
Commissioner Garn.
Here. All right, we need a motion to excuse absences.
So moved.
Or
Jeff Butt and Michael Beckwith, yep.
you don't have to raise your hand either.
Oh,
This is
I'm
not elementary school.
smarty pants.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Next, we have minutes from our last meeting. We would be looking for any additions or changes or corrections or a motion to approve.
Make a motion to receive and file minutes from the previous meeting.
I'll support.
All right, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Next, we will open up for public comment for items not on today's agenda.
Do you want to open it up for?
Okay. So we'll do a public comment on that one.
Yeah. Public comment.
Okay. All right, so seeing no public comments.
Yeah,
Oh, right now. you-
sorry. I should have said it out
I
loud.
thought you meant do it.
Yeah.
Wait.
No, go right ahead.
My name is Erin Salinas and I'm speaking on behalf of my husband, Jason Salinas, who could not be here today. To whom it may concern, with attention to ordinance 872, it is my opinion that requiring a special use permit to establish a new tattoo shop in the Coldwater area is a benefit to the community. Tattooing has come a very long way in 30 years that I've been in this business. Considering all of our advancements within our field, only regulations for health and safety have been set into law. There are no standards, continued education for technique, business management, or artistic aptitude concerning tattooing required for individuals wishing to pursue a career in tattooing. I do believe that a free market is healthy for an economy and everyone should have the opportunity to go after a dream. But inexperienced tattooists or underqualified business ventures interested in the tattoo industry do more harm than good in a community on the rise. I believe an additional step in the process to opening a new tattoo establishment may be a bit off-putting to underqualified individuals hoping to open a new tattoo establishment in our area. Requiring a special use permit still affords any individual the opportunity to open a tattoo establishment in the area, but it would also filter out those that lack the confidence to present themselves in front of an official city council. I believe that if another establishment wished to open in our area, this requirement would only promote a higher level of skill, both in business and artistry, and further promote better business practices and build a reputation for Coldwater as a safe and skilled area to receive a new tattoo. This in turn will promote travel to Coldwater and commerce to other businesses in our community. Building a positive reputation for our area is all of our responsibilities, and if there must be competition, it should focus on quality. Regarding the location of new establishment, I personally would like to see the ordinance stand as it is written today, limiting tattoo establishments on US 12 and South Monroe Street. This bit of legislation still allows tattooing in the area, but helps avoid oversaturation in a small space. This too promotes better business practices. With my personal feelings on this matter aside, I do understand the concern of other property owners wanting to fill spaces. Regardless of that decision, I stand firmly on the idea that the special use permit will benefit the entire community in the long run. Thank you for your time and consideration. Jason and Erin Salinas.
Thank you. All right, is there any other public comment? All right, we'll close public comment And we will open public hearing. Turn it over to Robert.
All right, good evening. We have special use permit 2501, applied by, through Thompson Vale Hand Group Inc. Sorry if I butchered that. They are looking today, to establish a, drive-through facility, on the rear property of 100 West Chicago. Give a little background. There are 3 properties involved in the subject parcel. One is Bank's office's professional trade use. The other 2 are parking lot and vacant space or open space. Zoning is surrounded around C2 districts, with the exception of there is a A3 multifamily zoning district, where the excuse me, the school is at. I will give it over to the presenters if they want to put a little bit more detail into this for a moment.
My name is William Haas. I'm with Thompson Phelan Group and Barbara McAlpin Associates. I do have Josh Beckhusen from Century Bank and Trust here as well. So the bank actually came to us in 2019 for COVID when we started looking at renovating the interior of their existing building there and do some of the entry. Then when COVID hit, it kind of changed a little bit of their thinking of what they wanted to do with this property. Hence, we kind of then added this drive-up building just because we knew shutting down buildings and lobbies, it kind of forced everybody to start using drive-ups and ITMs or ATMs as well. And so we kind of developed this drive-through building for them on this back part of the parking lot or the area of the property that was not being utilized for them currently. They do have a drive-up ATM that's located up on the front side, and there's no canopy or cover on that. So that was another reason that they really wanted to look at doing up a drive-up lane and a drive-up facility for their members to come and use, at least be out of the weather. With the drive-up, it's going to be, like I said, it's going to be drive-up to try to eliminate some of the inside actions of the tellers. And it's also to help with, technology. A lot of people are not going inside anymore as much as they can do through drive-up facilities, and with and there's a new thing that is coming out, which is ITMs, interactive teller machines. It operates as a ATM, but you can actually hit a call feature and actually talk to a live person on that. And that's something that they wanted to incorporate too, is have maybe 2 lanes of those ITM machines at this drive-up facility as well. And even with the drive-up building, we're looking to install the same brick that the building has on it right now, the same color, to try to match what is there, and try to just match the surroundings. I know the one thing that was brought up we didn't really show any details on the dumpster screening. We just noted it, but we are planning on screening it with a brick wall to match the building and have dumpster gates that will be out of a composite material for low maintenance.
So, for the commission's consideration, I did give a few items that at the end of my staff report that probably needed to be reviewed by the applicant and submitted. And all but one of those items have been submitted, and that would be the lighting plan to show the lumens there. They are working on getting the 3 parcels actually combined together. They did submit a soil erosion and sediment control plan. And then they did provide the details for the dumpster screening. And then as far as the proposed monument sign, that's kind of up in the air. They haven't really decided what they're doing there, but that's something that we can tackle later in-house. So it's not a big issue there. And before you guys' screen, there's the layout of the proposed drive-through. They're proposing the appropriate amount of parking spaces. The only thing I know with landscaping, it is the site is less than 50% of change overall, so anything that is non-conforming could remain. We don't have to bring the whole site into conformance, but there was a suggestion that a few more trees required by ordinance needed to be added on page, well, I forget the page number, but before you can see what is being required, and this would just be for the portion that's actually being improved upon on the property, so. It's either, I think you guys have the ability to approve as is, or we can ask them to do that, but from there, we could probably go into the public hearing first, or the public comments.
Any questions for him?
You're taking out the one that's in there currently? That's coming out, the drive-through that's in there currently?
Yeah, that currently, that ATM will go away once this, the new one was built. We'll eliminate that one, yes.
So on the landscaping side, who selected the plants or the trees in your plan? Was that an arborist? Was that your engineer?
It was honestly us, this is what we've kind of used in the past on past projects. We try to, a lot of times we try to keep trees that are more small, compact. In regards to the quantity, I know, we knew we left off some, and just because of on the north side there, we're getting a little tight to the sidewalk, and there's also power lines that are cutting through, and we just tried to avoid conflicts. Obviously, if we want to put more trees in, we can always work. I mean, we have areas with inside, around the building that we could fit more trees in it. But like I said, with the power lines in there, we tried to keep those away from the utilities as much as possible, because we just ran into issues with the power companies in the past. When we start planting trees by their lines, they get a little itchy on us for those.
As a member of the power company, I can appreciate that. Follow up on that, I will note that the Pyrus calernia, I'm sure I'm pronouncing that wrong, Cleveland Select Pear is an invasive species. That's outlawed in Ohio, Pennsylvania, nothing at Michigan level, but for Michigan, the University of Michigan, potential to be a serious problem, recommended not to plant. Would you be open to alternatives?
Oh, yes, we're always open. Like we use one of the varieties of honey locust, that stay kind of small, compact with the small leaves. I know that's a lot of communities like that, just for obviously when the leaves get into storms, it's less to plug the storm system. So we're definitely up to substituting those out.
So the exit on Harrison, that's intended to be bi-directional traffic?
Yes, it's used both directions currently. We were just widening it out to meet the standards of what the city asked for width. But right now, there's traffic that comes both in and out on that, that curb cut right now.
Okay.
Just out of curiosity, aren't you adding a lot of parking spaces to that site that weren't there before? Isn't the parking spots right south of the drive-through, aren't those all new?
Those would, yes, those would be, let's see here. Let me just go to the-
Excuse
So
me,
the
I was
parking
going-
along so we're adding we got 10 additional, or no, I'm sorry, we got 6 additional. So the ones that towards the east side of the drive up facility would be new.
Just these are new.
You're at C100.
And then where that, I guess along that, even along the west side there, where the existing drive up ATM, we'd be adding obviously parking spots there as well.
You're not adding that many of them.
Here's the existing site survey, sorry.
'Cause there's a lot of parking over there now.
Yeah, so with that the existing parking that is along the north side there,
Right.
that's pretty much, that kind of stays in place, and that's where the start of the sidewalk to the drive-up building would start off of that.
Is there only gonna be one teller in there and then the other ones are the IT ones?
So right now, we're planning one ITM machine at the very end, one pneumatic tube, and then a deal drawer. So they'll have 2 lanes of transaction. Whether if they staff it with one or two, I'm not sure with what they're
No.
staff, but that, it can be easily staffed with just one person.
Okay.
One lonely person.
TV in there.
All right, any additional questions for Wilbur? All right, thank you. So we close the public hearing.
Ended public comment or anyone that.
Oh, any public comment from the public on this issue? Seeing none, close the public hearing. And we can take action on this today.
You kind of feel so, yeah.
So Robert, one question I did have is with the additional impervious surfaces, have we had Fishbeck review the stormwater calcs?
Yes, Fishbeck has reviewed it and everything that they submitted meets our stormwater requirements for the 100-year. So Brian didn't indicate any issues with what they were proposing.
Great.
So they are gonna be increasing get to the right one here, drainage plan. So to the north east corner of the property, they're proposing an underground retention basin to be added in conjunction with it, what they've already got existing to account for the additional impervious surface.
Have you have the motion written up somewhere here?
I do. I have a model motion on the last page, without the conditions. The only condition at this point would be, to provide the lighting plan and to finalize the combination of the 3 lots. Get to it,
You don't have anything with the tree?
that I would recommend at least, unless you guys, in the trees, if you wanted to add that in there.
We don't have anything in our ordinances banning specific trees, do we? Like,
It gives a recommended tree table, but I don't think it necessarily outright says you can't use other styles either.
sure.
I make a motion to review subject to the staff requirements.
I'll support that.
Any discussion on that? All right, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Thank you.
Moving on to old business. Item number 3.
All right, so we're back to the RC. Last month it was tabled. Last month, zoning text amendment 2502 was tabled for further consideration from member Beckwith. I guess I'm just gonna go through it again, just to bring you guys back up to speed with it real quick and to kind of outline the area. So section 2.2 was just the definitions. Again, this is just to expand the ability to include different types of multiple family, different single family, 2-family, different types of 2-family situations, and then boarding homes or rooming homes. So this was just an update to our language to meet that RRC recommendation. And then as well with sidewalk cafes and outdoor cafes. I'm gonna skip from 3.1, the established districts, and jump right into 416. Residential accessory dwellings accessory dwelling units within a principal commercial use. Subsection A talks about general standards above any commercial business within the downtown area. And giving regulation to there. I don't think there was much issue with discussion in the past with that. DDA kind of focused in on the ground floor standards, wanting to make it a special land use rather than permissive use. RRC requires for us to meet that standard to make it permissive though. So DDA also wanted some additional stipulations put in for like rear access. Yeah, rear access. I think the rear access was one of the bigger points. If you guys reviewed the letter, and then of course making it a special land use, then which would bring us out of out of that stipulation for the RRC, so we wouldn't be able to utilize it. Now, if we're hung up on which way we want to go with this, we did, Aaron and I did confirm with our contact with the RRC, we could completely strike this provision for now, because we do allow commercial establishments above businesses now. And we could address this at a later date, because with the other changes that we're making, we still have enough checkboxes done. So if you guys aren't happy with any of it yet and want to look into it further, we can just strike it altogether. So I'll leave it to you guys on this one first, because I was kind of hoping we'd go one by one and then to the end.
Am I striking just 410? Or 410?
416.
Or 416, sorry, as a whole.
And then leaving it as our the way it currently reads in our ordinance for now.
Robert, when I read that letter from the DDA or whatever, it was for the rear access. I just want to make sure I understand. They're fighting for the same thing I was, is so that from the rear, you'd have access still to the commercial storefront.
Yes.
Okay. So that was a big thing I was.
Yeah, so
Agree with
whether
you.
that would be like shared access to like a common entry, and then like if the tenant needed to access into the vestibule essentially, and then go into a door, and then the business door would be separate, which I think we have a couple businesses set up like that as well. Actually, I think Cooley's is set up, there's a vestibule, right, between the two businesses. But anyways, I think that's the intent though, or two separate accesses at the rear entrance.
Okay.
You're talking, if somebody wants to live in the rear of a commercial building, they'd have to have two, they'd have to be able to get to the front business and to the apartments separately.
So the apartment entrance would be separate from the business, whether they use it through a vestibule, but two separate doors, because obviously I don't think a business owner is gonna let somebody walk through their business if they're renting out the space, but the DDA wants front and rear access if they have existing rear access.
Doesn't that defeat some of the idea behind this and the affordability for somebody who wants to live in the back of their small storefront and have a business in the front? You're saying if somebody wanted to open a shoe store, repairs business in the front of a narrow building and live in the back, they'd have to allow customers to have a separate rear entrance to get to the front of their building? Is that?
That was what was being proposed by the DDA.
What's being done in other cities when they have allowed this? Is that standard? Is this?
I'll be honest, I don't know what other cities that have done in this situation. This was a recommendation. The way that ours is written right now is a recommendation from McKenna, because we work with McKenna on this and utilized a grant to help study that.
McKenna recommended two entrance to the front business?
Nope, they didn't recommend any entrance requirements. Just the biggest thing was that residential unit had to have an entrance from the rear. And then the business could have the one in the front.
I think basically it's because of parking.
Well, that was my concern at the last meeting was we're spending all millions of dollars on these parking lots.
Yeah.
And that's gonna be a parking lot for nowhere if we just
Told
allow
you
them to
that
block
you
them
can
off
create kind of an orphan storefront that, you know,
with no parking.
with no parking, that might work great for the shoe store guy, but then the next guy might not work so good for it.
Nobody's there anyway.
I don't care. I'm just curious. So they can't walk around the block, come to the front of the business they want to
Nobody
come?
walks and.
You can park on US 12 and go to the business.
What are you talking about?
I don't care. It just seems like our idea is to encourage the small guy to open a shoe repair shop and live there. I'm like, I don't know.
Talking about a limited number of buildings, right?
Yeah, I mean, most of your businesses, I think that could apply to this, are mostly within Monroe and on US 12.
They wouldn't allow this on 12, is that what I read? Right now, it wouldn't be allowed on 12?
Yeah, oh, yes, you're correct. So on 12, you would not be able to do ground floor accessory. It would, so basically you're looking at Monroe.
But like Lefties, for example, if somebody wanted to open a little store in the front of the old Lefties building, have an apartment in the back,
Yeah.
there's no physical way you could have a, on the building like that, get to the front from the back. I mean, I don't know.
Well, then when you look at the square footage, when you have to have a minimum of 450 square feet, I mean, if it's a small building, for instance, I know you can't do it on 12, but like Keith's Jewelry, there's no way you could do that.
Well, 400,
Half the square footage, easy.
450 square feet, plus it can't exceed more than 40% of your gross floor area of the main. So it becomes, in theory, without looking at all the, I mean, we could go and look at them all, but it would become somewhat restrictive to a degree to what properties, if they're narrow and wouldn't be
And
conducive
where'd the
to that use.
450 come from? Is that McKenna?
That was between me, Kenny and McKenna, Kenny Fickle, the building inspector. That's about the minimum requirement you need for a residential space.
450 is pretty small, but
So,
20 by 20, 20 by 20.
so like I said, we can scratch this all together for the from the resolution and from the ordinance, if you guys are comfortable and feel that it's not ready to move forward. Because like I said, with the definition changes, and other uses, allowed uses within ordinance, we check enough with the RRC checkboxes for that.
Is there anybody trying to do this right now?
Building is even-
I believe there are, but I'd have to do
Too
some
many.
research into it.
I'd say maybe.
Be holding up progress if we table it.
Well, yes, we would, but we could,
Yeah.
omit this entirely from moving forward if we felt
Late to
other
it, maybe
provisions
never
of
talk to
the
the DEA,
recommendation
we
were
should
good to
have
go
this.
forward and we could just pull it out. And then we
Wonder
can
if
readdress it at a
just
different
keeps
date
Nothing happening.
if we needed to.
So Robert, if we didn't do something on this, what's the downside? Does this affect our ability to get grants or funding for downtown?
If
Just-
we don't, the RRC overall, it would affect our timeline for our certification and affect our ability to reach out to the, or to access those tools that the RRC provides for communities. So there are grant abilities, and Erin can probably speak a little bit more to it if I'm not saying something right. She definitely does a lot more.
I want to
with-
say something.
Yeah.
Yes, if this is tabled, it will delay the process of us becoming certified and then us accessing grant money, becoming developer ready, all of those things. So it does help to have that certification status.
We could approve this and make it more liberal down the road too, or change it, right? I mean, I
You
guess
certainly
it's
could. I
a
mean,
start.
it, like I said, if we pulled this particular section out, and we'll go through the rest of it, it's not inhibiting our RRC certification right now. It's not like this is what balances on that. So we could remove this altogether and then deal with it a little bit more further down the road.
The other thing I didn't like is the window AC side of it. Putting window ACs out there on facing toward the streets.
Mm-hmm.
I know it says not beyond the face of it, but
How did that work?
yeah, that doesn't look good.
Nothing shall be projecting or hung from any part of the building that faces the street.
Which of those units you put up in the?
Oh, yeah, that's down in 7.6.
Yeah.
So the air conditioning is.
Well, we can circle back to that real quick.
Well, the air conditioning,
Oh,
5.4 allows it.
Yeah, it faces the street, window air conditioners cannot project beyond the face of the building.
Yeah.
I just don't think that's gonna be attractive if you allow those on the face of the building.
well, the one in black, verbiage is actually what our ordinance currently reads.
Yes.
So, yeah,
And I totally disagree, it's in there. That needs to be removed.
okay. Well, we can,
Robert's gonna throw his hands up here in about 2 minutes.
no, it's fine, it's fine. We can circle back to this and figure out let's go through the rest of it real quick and see where we feel about the rest of it and then go from there. So outdoor dining and sidewalk cafes, what the proposed section was 423. The section number is going to be irrelevant right now because we've adopted another one, I think, that took that place. Now, emphasis behind the sidewalk cafe. Sidewalk cafes are only going to be allowed in the C2 district, and they're only considered areas and public right of ways as well. So city council will have to approve the use through a lease agreement. That's how we've been doing it with the, well, Broadway. The other thing to mention, unless I get told otherwise by MDOT, we can't approve anything along US 12 that I'm aware of because it's MDOT right away. So, and everything on US 12 in the downtown is right up to the property. So they don't have any space to be able to establish an outdoor cafe. Outdoor cafes will be businesses like El Canando or the former JT's, because that's within their property confines. And then Lamplighter, which is also in their property confines. So those are considered outdoor cafes, not sidewalk cafes.
What about like Jeannie's has some tables out there, or the Hope Cafe has a table out there?
They do. They, as far as my knowledge and what I've been told, we have not given, or excuse me, anyways, we have not given them permission to do that. So if they have done that, they've either asked the question to the appropriate authority or they just might be doing it. I don't know.
Okay.
So, but we don't have the authority to approve those on MDOT, to my knowledge. There's been a lot of discussion in staff around these, around this section. Trying to, right now it's set up as a special land use. So it's gonna come before you guys to make any conditions that you feel that are necessary. Outdoor cafes are not subject to this requirement. It's only sidewalk cafes. DDA really felt that the special land use and requiring the $500 fee that goes with that was too much for new businesses. And wanted to see this to become more permissive. They also wanted a few more standards put in place to give a little bit more regulation. So what I did, and I'll pull it up here. Oh, it looks like I got pulled out. Okay. I had it pulled up. Give me a second. So, man, I apologize. I had it pulled up and it looks like someone got signed out of it.
That's the city.
Vacation, you know, I hate it when you don't have a phone. Yeah.
I gotta go find my. They're texting me.
Or maybe it logged out on my own. It might have timed out too, so it could be mine. So I did a little bit of reworking on the amendment. And it's a little bit of a mess, but clarified try to clarify section B, added a purpose and intent to promote economic vitality, vibrancy in commercial areas, to encourage pedestrian activity and community gathering, and to ensure outdoor eating areas are safe, accessible, and attractive. The permitting was pretty much, so everything in white was how it was given to you guys before, and then red is what's been added since then. For your guys' consideration. Application shall include site plan showing dimensions, furniture, layouts, access points, and a statement indemnifying the city from liability in a form deemed sufficient by the city attorney and provide proof of insurance deemed acceptable by city attorney. Getting into the standards, to a little bit of what I did a couple weeks ago is I went around and walked around the streets, measured curb to facades, tried to get an average. About the average setback between the curb and a facade in the downtown area is about 10 feet or to the property line if the facade's further back. With the exception of Broadway, which is about 19 feet with the addition that they did. And then along south Hanchett Street where Two Bandits is, it goes from 9 to 19 because it's wedged. So with that in mind, our previous restriction said 8 feet from the facade was the max that you could project. Broadway has a canopy that projects about 12 feet, which would make it a lawful nonconformity. And then their fenced area is 5 feet from the curb. And our requirement that we were proposing was 8, which also would make them a lawful nonconforming. So to get in line with like what we allowed Broadway to do and be generally more permissive, that's what these standards are hoped to achieve. So the cafe needs to meet all county, state, federal requirements for food sales, liquor control, and other relevant regulations. That's just a general standard. Design standards, table, chairs, fencing, and other aspects of the cafe shall be designed to be architecturally compatible with existing structures on the subject property. Equipment, materials shall be intended for outdoor use and uniform. So you can't mix and match or, unless I guess that's the look you're going for, maybe. Advertising signage or umbrellas on furniture is prohibited per section 51A2D, which is our sign ordinance. You're not allowed to use furniture and sign furniture. So hours of operation for sidewalk cafes are permitted between 6 a.m. and 11 p.m., which actually was part of our original draft. Location and layout standards, use of public right of way shall not be exclusive. City retains the rights to revoke, modify a permit, or preserve public access for maintenance and emergency needs. All outdoor cafe areas maintain clean and litter-free condition, which would be supported by our IPMC and our code enforcement officer. Outdoor seating must be adjacent to associated business, maintain a minimum clear pedestrian pathway of 5 feet and not obstruct fire hydrants, utilities, or ADA access. Define boundaries using planters, ropes, or railings. The tables and chairs shall not be permanently anchored to the ground. Like I said, trying to keep using Broadway as like the standard, that all those points meet what Broadway is kind of doing. The idea about pulling out some of the stuff that was being proposed is city council, since it's city right away and city council is going to be the final approval. I kind of felt that leaving it on to the council to determine what they're going to allow in city right away was more appropriate than having some of those extra restrictions out of safety standards ideas. So, and then enforcement revocation, the zoning administrator may suspend or revoke outdoor cafe permits upon finding violation of any ordinance, public safety hazard, or repeated complaints for the public. This is verbiage I found in other communities. We can remove or amend if you guys feel. The permit holder shall be given written notice of the violation and reasonable opportunity to correct deficiencies before revocation unless the violation possesses immediate threat to public health or safety. So, and then the rest of it's just strikeouts where I've moved things around. So with this, we can either leave it as a special land use the way that it's being presented right now, or if you guys feel that you want to move it forward as a permitted use. Either way, it doesn't affect the RRC's compatibility. RRC just says that we have to have outdoor dining, which we will still allow. But after staff, after the last planning commission meeting and staff discussions, this I feel kind of hits all the bullet points to make hopefully everybody happy without creating too many restrictions. And then I guess on the other half of it, do you guys feel that it would be appropriate as permitted use, or do you want them to come before this planning commission as a special land use to kind of, measure whether or not there needs to be additional criteria and reasonable restrictions put in place.
Thoughts?
I'd prefer a special land use on that, but the one part that I would agree with, that they were complaining about is the cost for the permit to do that annually. That seems ridiculous to me, $500. The total cost for the city.
I don't
can't
think,
be much.
this isn't an annual permit. This
Oh,
is
it's just-
special land use when,
So
once
it's
they.
total.
So I will have to say, for full clarification, the way that the lease agreements have been being written up, with Two Bandits before they went out, and then I think Broadway's is written up this way. Every time a new business comes in, they have to do it, but as long as the business occupies the location, it's with that,
Okay.
with that agreement. So it's a one-time, in theory, it's a one-time fee per that
Is
business,
that the total cost or is there additional cost in the lease?
total costs. I don't know what the city council, determines when it comes down to the lease agreement, if they do. I would assume they don't, but I would have to get back to you on that one for sure.
So it doesn't seem too onerous if it's a one-time deal and they don't have to pay any
I would say so, it's too much.
lease fee.
We try to get people to go downtown,
Right.
but then
Well,
one more obstacle we have to put in front of somebody, it's,
Would you like to reduce it? Can we reduce?
I would greatly reduce
Well,
it.
the fee schedule's set by council.
Okay.
So the only authority, I think, to my knowledge, is council would be the only one that could do that.
We could still make the proposed change, and then they would just have to either nix it or say, yeah, we agree, right?
Right.
right, because we don't make this change anyway. This is recommendation.
You have to mail out.
Well, yeah, and
That's the whole reason why.
Shauna's making a point. Part of the fee cost that comes from the special land use is for the mailings and because cost of, for instance, I think it's been ranging for special land uses anywhere from 170 to 250, depending on how many lines you put in the paper. It's pricey to put this stuff in the paper, and not only the mailings and the administrative time that goes into it, which is pretty minimal, but it's meant to cover those administrative costs that are associated. And I think the fee schedule was updated in 2022 to reflect that. So there might be a little bit of buffer room, but it was meant to cover a lot of the administrative costs.
I didn't ask for your input.
Huh?
I didn't ask for your input. I'm just kidding.
So we can move forward with the way that it's been presented before I gave you guys this nice amendment. After Aaron and I have been working on it, and I've been working with Audrey and Keith as well to kind of get it just right. And I feel this kind of hits all the points without creating existing really it's Broadway, but without creating any existing lawful nonconformities. So it kind of addresses all that and still keeps in mind with the accessibility and safe passage. Again, probably, and then they would have to define the boundaries, like Broadway, they have their railing, but they could use planter boxes or ropes or something, just to kind of, keep everything together. And this also doesn't have a curb setback, so they could go up to the curb. But they just have to maintain a pedestrian pathway. So then that way, there's no impeding there. Impediment is what I want to say.
All right. Thoughts? This would be a recommendation to the council.
Yeah, so we've had our public hearing. I confirmed with Amanda, even though there is quite a bit of verbiage that's being added to, the overall concept is in tone with what was the public hearing. So we both felt that we don't have to have another public hearing for this part of it, or any part of it. So if you guys decided to move forward with the recommendations tonight, you'd probably do it as amended, and then I would modify the document that goes before the council. Just a wrap up on the other parts that had a little less issues. There's the off-street parking and loading requirements. These these are parking reductions. These aren't required, but they're options available to developers. So, we had to have 3, I believe, of these, right? So with that, there's 4 that's being proposed. I know you guys kind of, we're talking about the electric vehicle charging station, but it's really just, it's just an option. They could reduce their spaces by 2 for every 1 EV charger they supply. And then same thing with bicycle racks. If they allow for 2 bicycle stores, it can reduce the parking space by 1. And then banked parking, which is just taking parking and using it as landscaping until they need it. And then on-street parking, which would require a little bit of work between council and the developer, but because it is a public right of way again, so. And then that was the DDA's letter. Do you guys need to see that again? Or are you good?
The one thing we didn't go over is the commercial building standards.
Oh, thank you. I jumped by that. Yes, so 516 commercial building standards. I think I reiterated, said this last time, I mean, these are gonna mainly apply to any major renovations where they blow out their front wall of their building, and their transparency would have to be brought up to 60%, which means they have to have 60% window compared to their solid surface wall. And then same thing with front facing doorways. They just have to put a doorway in for front facing. It's intended to be more inviting to downtown commerce. So this is not a requirement, like if they're doing minor work, repairs, maintenance. But it would be required for major projects and then any new development.
When we first looked at this one, I had an issue with it personally, because I feel like the 60% is a ton of space. And it would limit uses in the downtown for people coming in that didn't want to have wide open windows. I get the inviting thing, I understand that, but to me, it seems like this is going too far. 60% is a lot of space, especially when you consider some of them are 2 stories. So how does that factor in?
This is just for the ground floor.
2 and 8 feet above grade level.
Yep.
I mean, 60% is 10% more than half.
Well,
You know your math, don't you, son? That's a lot.
I think the original one was 80%. And then when we kind of sat down, we dropped it down to 60. So it is a number that can slide on the scale. If you guys feel that this is too restrictive, we can, there's no requirement, I believe, on how the percentage that we need to have for RRC. Just has to be identified in our ordinance.
It doesn't say what you could do behind the window either though, right? So
No, it's not saying that you could utilize it for display, or if you wanted to put some window signage in, as long as that met our window sign requirement in the downtown.
you can put shades up.
Yeah, it's not requiring that you have to have a certain amount of transparency through the window. It's just you have to provide the transparency.
Yeah. So you could,
It's probably referencing more if you have a retail as opposed to just an office.
well,
Right.
that's what I'm thinking though, because you get, like, I was trying to think of different uses downtown, like maybe a venue, like a wedding venue or something like that, or just a meeting venue. It would be weird to have these big open windows into something like that, I would think. Or if you wanted to have, I don't know, a professional office would be another one.
Do you have a percentage that you think you would be comfortable with? 45? 40.
I think it's weird having it at all because it's limiting the use. You know, I guess I'm having trouble coming up with good examples of someone who wouldn't want any windows, but it seems like there would be businesses out there that would want no windows.
The naughty ones.
We don't allow those anyway.
And I don't know, it just seems onerous, but less would be better in my mind. for sure.
No. Aaron, correct me if I'm wrong here. These are 2 points. Do we have any other ones on the RRC part for that standard? Do you remember? I hate to put you on the spot. I'm sorry. I just couldn't remember either.
A good example would be the Southern Michigan Loan Center. There's no windows in that building.
Which there is.
Or maybe they're just.
You talking about
closed.
organic?
They're
Well, they,
like a tent.
they have the tint on them, the mirror
Reflective
reflection,
ones.
which nothing in the ordinance says that you can't do that. So if you want to have like a one-way mirror,
You got that right there.
oh,
Unreflective.
sorry, my apologies. In the current ordinance, it doesn't say that.
Alright.
In the proposed, it does. Yeah,
Keese's has 60%, yeah. Is Keese's 60% right now?
Oh, it's probably.
I
more
would,
than
I
that.
would say it's either, if not more, because you also can include your door space too. So like if you have side lights and all front glass door, then that would also calculate towards.
It
that.
makes sense on retail places, because they're gonna wanna be inviting.
Yeah,
the
down
Display, they want display.
Display, yeah.
Yeah.
Or attorney's office or dentist's office, you're saying?
Yeah, like a professional office. Or a venue, I think a venue wouldn't want it either. Or might not want it.
Thinking of opening a venue downtown?
Well, I've thought about that with our building.
I mean, your building probably has closer to 75, 80 with that, with all yours.
Just more to get broken that I have to replace. Again,
But this is for people who are doing reconstruction or.
Yeah, this
so
is
it's
new
nothing-
buildings
Yeah.
and anything with major rework.
Yeah,
So nothing existing. If they take out a window to replace a window,
yeah.
I don't think that's gonna qualify or meet the statute that we're gonna step in. Like, if they're doing a major facade upgrade, then yes.
you know, when CVS was looking at buying our store, Museum Gallery and Culey's, they were gonna put CVS all right there, and CVS doesn't have windows like that.
Yeah, they have big windows.
They have up above, they don't have windows you can see into the store.
Right.
Are you sure? Aren't they covered with like? things?
Now, think about Walgreens too.
Walgreens,
Walgreens doesn't have any
right.
windows either. They have like skylights to let natural light in,
Hmm.
up high.
Mhm.
I don't think it would look bad. Or what if a movie theater, you know, not that someone would put a movie theater downtown, but that's another business that wouldn't want windows.
Well, but it would be their snack area would be where you walked in.
Yeah,
Trying to pull up the RC handbook real quick to get to that section. Oh, I just didn't wanna mess with the. No, you're okay. So concentrated development, the way we are right now is for certified expectations, we have to have 2 or more of the following: build 2 lines, open storefronts, outdoor dining, which is one of the things we're talking about, minimum ground floor transparency, and front facing doorways. So if you're stuck on the ground floor transparency, we could just do front facing doorways. We have the outdoor standard, and then that would meet our RC obligations for certification. There are other things that we do. I know we do a public art program. I just don't know if that's been cleared by RC. We can follow up on that, but then there's a few other things on this list that we could look into and without doing a zoning ordinance amendment. But if you wanted to X the ground floor transparency, then we could, and we'd still be okay with this provision.
So from my perspective, I don't really take issue with the 60%. I guess maybe where I'm more taking issue is, I think major versus minor is a little too subjective. I'd like to maybe see some percentages tied to that. If I do,
Mhm.
40% of my facade, is that major?
Oh,
To the
yeah.
developer,
What
it might not be, but to the
constitutes?
city, we might
Yeah.
say it is. So I think having something definitive there might give me more comfort.
I always use the analogy, whatever, like if you have 5 apples and I give you 3. But I mean, you could do that with 50%, anything over exceeding 50% could be major in that theory. Excluding, maintenance and repairs and stuff like that. Cause like, obviously, if you have a large pane glass window or whatever that could constitute that 50%, I don't think it would be. I don't think it would be necessary to require that. So yeah, we'd probably have to offer a little bit more insight on that if we went that route.
Where'd this come from, Bob? I mean, why are we dictating what somebody, if they have a business, it's kind of up to them how they want to display their goods? I mean, why are we, like you say, an attorney or a dentist might respond. I'm just not sure why government is telling people how to market their business.
Yeah,
Do we know better?
this mainly is, so because the RRC, the whole idea behind it is to be development ready. So basically shovel ready for a business to come in, do very little work, to be able, or not very little work, but do very little to the overall construction of this building if it was a newer building, or a rental building, and then, be able to start the business right away with little hurdles.
If somebody's spec'ing a building, they bought a building, they're just spec'ing it, getting it cleaned up, they would have to comply with this.
Yeah, I think how they do, well, yeah, if it was a new building, but I think what,
Not a new building, existing building that's being redone.
yeah, and then we'd have to go into that area where we'd probably have to actually define a little bit more on the major versus minor, so then that
There's a new
way,
building gonna be built downtown.
probably not very many
Okay,
places.
so we're spending a lot of time on something that's never gonna happen.
I think, RRC, when you are a redevelopment ready community, they put you on a map and a list, and then they check off all the stuff that you allow. So when businesses look at that map or look at that tool, they can say, oh, they have ground floor transparency requirements. That's something I'm looking for my business. Or they have inviting doorways. So that, I think that's where it comes from, the RRC side. So like I said, we could ex-nay the ground floor transparency thing. If you guys weren't comfortable with it today. And then move forward, with the rest of it as, revised. We'd have to look at a couple other things if, you decided that you just didn't want to deal with this at all, but. I wasn't hearing too many issues with the
Aaron,
front
what do you
facing
want? You want to change
doorways.
that to 40%, 50%? I mean, it's just a number.
Well,
Just get-
ideally, I'd like to get rid of it altogether, but this isn't a hill for me to die on. I'm just bringing it up. So
I know.
if the council's cool with it, I don't need to
They're
throw a
gonna
big
pay
fit
attention
about
to that
it.
detail, so,
Yeah.
Well, obviously the DDA is okay with it,
are they? Okay.
so, right, Robert?
Let me double check what they said there.
This falls in line with the forever dream that we get retail downtown. It's always a struggle.
Yeah, they didn't provide any feedback on the commercial building standards, so I would have.
But they don't have any problems with it, then?
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with the percentage at all, but I do agree with Andrew over there. We gotta have some kind of percentage of replacement of a facade or something like that to trigger this, not just a thumb in the sky and try to figure out,
Is it
should we
just the
force
facade
this
or
time or not?
Or
Yeah,
the percentage of the interior?
the
Also-
facade. I
Oh,
would say
it-
the facade.
It would have to be.
Yeah.
So, and I mean, you could use administrative ruling if you wanted to, or actually set a solid number. So,
Probably be a better option to set a solid number, wouldn't it?
yeah, we could, and you could say 75% of the, ground floor facade, the length of the building, or 85%. I mean, that'd be pretty major if if it was close to that
So you
number.
could make it as high as you want.
Yeah, yeah.
What were you thinking, Andrew, percentage wise?
It's thinking 2/3 in my head, but be open to
Okay.
whatever consensus.
2/3 fine too.
That's 66.6666%.
Yeah, that's two 1/3 too.
7 on the end.
He's like
That's-
Rain Man.
33.33333 with a line above it times 2.
So whichever way you wanna go with that.
How before we have it, we've got Erin out here waiting for this exciting stuff.
Oh.
Is this gonna be a while, or could we move her up on the agenda and deal with the tattoo parlor issue? Erin, I guess
Oh,
I gotta do
after
that.
this, I think that's all we had
Okay.
left. So, and your guys' recommendation. So, I mean, if we're making a recommendation to amend 516, shall apply, to 2/3 of the, for major improvements, then we can do that. Or new
Can we
build.
make a motion on that right now, just for that one section? Get that off our list and move on to the next one and get that one done.
Well, it's all under one big thing, so you could do as amended and then I would read back that it would be to amend 516 to include facade improvement requirement of 2/3 or new build.
So what we're looking for is to accept the whole thing with that change. Or the whole thing minus the sidewalk cafe section.
As the sidewalk halfway one was, I was honestly, if I was hoping that we would do it as amended as I presented. To address that and then depending,
Does anybody have any objections to the sidewalk cafe language?
I just wanna lower the cost to 250, and then I'll agree, you'll get my vote.
you can talk to council.
Otherwise, I'm gonna be.
Special use.
I have a hungry-
Well, right now, no, the sidewalk cafes don't have to be a special use or a permitted use. It just has to be identified in the zoning ordinance.
You wanted to add
Right.
special use to that.
So right now, it's written as a special use. So there would be no change to that if that's the way you do it. No, we could change it if other members so thought that it would be more permissive.
Okay, so.
So then, yeah, that would be it, because the section 3.1 for the established districts just reflects where it's gonna be permitted and where it's gonna be a special land use, so. There was no changes to that as of right now.
All right, so we're talking about accepting the whole thing, including the sidewalk. Cafe. And adding to 5.16, the 2/3 provision.
And striking residential accessories from moving forward for 416 to be removed. For consideration.
Okay. Everybody
believe.
follow that? Are we prepared to vote on this as a recommendation right now, or do we need more time, or what's the thought here?
So the language of the motion would be for 516 as 2/3 facade.
Yeah, 2/3 facade,
And then everything else stays the same.
yeah,
Okay. And then as far as the sidewalk cafe and the outdoor cafe, are we making any changes to that?
yeah, so from the one that was on the table, yes, it would be as amended as I presented, where it reduced the restriction for the setbacks. Provided barriers for the seating area, so designated barrier areas.
The walkway,
Yeah, the 5-foot walkway.
common furniture.
Yep.
Outdoor furniture.
Yep, had to be for outdoor use. You couldn't like use an indoor chair for an outdoor.
I'm okay with all those items.
So, yeah. It's a little messy, I know.
So there's a lot going on here and there's a lot of stuff here. Does everyone feel comfortable to vote on this? If not, you speak up.
I still want the cost down. So,
Do we want to put a
And Robert's
recommendation of lowering the cost? The city council can do what they want. with
yeah,
it.
they may say it goes back to 500, they may say get rid of it. It's whatever they want to do.
And they'll receive, you guys and they will receive a clean copy if you guys push this through or approve this or recommend this, sorry.
Does $250 cover the cost that you guys came up with, or is that not cover the cost?
I'd have to, look into that a little further.
We make it back in taxes. That's how you stimulate economies.
Well,
That's right.
What about 300?
anyways,
Do we wanna lower it or no? The recommendation.
DDA wants us to lower it. Obviously, they see the need to do it.
I mean, I don't know if that's a place for right now.
Why not? It's in there.
We can make the
The fee
recommendation, they can
schedule's not
strike
in there,
it.
the fee requirement.
No, but the
Council
city
could
council,
probably get rid of that fee and say that they don't need a special use and just allow it and put rules of the furniture and stuff.
Hmm. I mean, if,
we're recommending to council, so the council would have to change the fee schedule, which is separate from this issue, is that what you're saying?
yeah, that's what I'm.
So it's not, they can't, the council couldn't change the amount on just this item, it had to be a separate.
I'm not sure they're gonna change it just for one special little, it probably may never happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, not, that's a lot. We can ask, but I don't know if they would change the whole system for.
We could vote to eliminate it, or we could recommend to eliminate it,
Eliminate.
the fee altogether, is that what you said? Jim?
Well, you could just go to a permitted use and they wouldn't have to go through a special
Yeah.
use.
Permit it. And why wouldn't we permit it?
So, and then it would fall on the council to do the final approvals on it.
So it wouldn't come before this. board
It
as a
wouldn't,
special
it wouldn't
use?
come for you guys, you wouldn't be able to impose any additional restrictions. There are, with the amendment, the way it's presented, I think there is enough guidance for staff, myself, to move forward when providing the information to the council for them, if you guys felt that there wasn't anything else that would needed to be added to
Why would we ever say no to somebody wanting to do that?
So what do you want more, Chris, the special use? or
I'd rather go
the-
permitted and lower the cost.
Right.
That'd be my opinion. I'm all about trying to make it easier for the businesses downtown.
it would streamline development. They wouldn't have to come before us, they'd have to come me from an approval and then take that approval to council with
That's what we
their.
want people to do.
Absolutely.
I want to encourage it.
So then, to add then, section 3.1 established districts, 3.18, B will be, based off what I'm listening to add sidewalk cafes as a permitted use and strike it from 3.18C special land uses.
That better. Cleaner.
Everybody like that?
Yeah.
All right. So if everyone has all of those conditions in mind, we'd be looking for a motion along those lines. Did you have a motion already typed in
No, I'm not,
I move that we do
Actually-
it along those lines.
there?
yeah, so I would say
As presented.
As presented and amended.
as presented and amended, yeah.
Shauna, do you have any idea what all those are?
Yeah,
We're gonna talk about it for
Okay.
sure.
yes.
But as long as everyone understands that, I guess what I'll do real quick, section 2.2, nothing's changing. 3.1, we're changing sidewalk cafes to a permitted use instead of a special land use, striking that. 416 is gonna be removed from moving forward to the council. 423, outdoor dining is gonna be amended as presented. 516 is gonna be amended as discussed. No changes to 5.2, and that's it.
Second motion, Patty?
Yep, I move that we do that
Support,
as
Patty.
amended and presented.
Kramer supported. All right, all those in favors, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
I should say that this is also approving resolution 2503.
Yes, thank you.
All right, moving on to old business item 4.
Okay, I don't have anything for you in front because at the council meeting, It was, first reading was done for tattoo parlors as a special land use within the C2 district, which also had the restriction on South Monroe and US 12, location restrictions. Member Beckwith, or council member Beckwith, indicated that he wanted it to come back, while they're moving that provision forward. So that's still moving forward with council to maybe discuss the, restriction of the special land use. And then additionally, DDA, really felt that tattoo parlors being restricted from the location was a bit excessive as well. And that was part of his reasoning for wanting to bring it back. So the discussion is, do we want to pick this back up to reconsider changing the amendment that's moving forward? Now, we're not changing what's there. The council will make that decision, and if they approve it, that will be fine. Anyone that wants to apply for a special land use will be able to. You did hear from a resident earlier tonight who was in support of the special land use, because they did attend the meeting and heard the stuff, and that's what they feel. So with that, though, do we want to bring this back to the table to make any changes moving forward with a new amendment?
My personal opinion is, I don't know why we're so restrictive. I mean, I don't have one tattoo. I probably will never get a tattoo, but someone that wants it, why not? I mean, I know you got a tattoo.
I don't.
Oh, you don't? I thought you had one here from the Navy.
That's stereotyping.
There's no reason why we shouldn't allow it. I just don't understand it.
Yeah, I mean,
And we let marijuana shops all over, and, but we're gonna say we can't, I know that's opening up a.
We don't
can of
know
worms,
about,
but
we don't know about time.
apples
We
are.
want money,
So yeah, that's mainly, that's the whole intent of this tonight. You got to hear from, I'm gonna butcher your last name terribly. It's Salinas, Mrs. Salinas, or Mrs. Salinas, yes. And her husband Jason, and how they feel about, that change. I don't think they have any particular objection to the location removal, but they definitely felt that they wanted to keep this.
And that's really all what you're talking about right now is the location removal.
Actually, the special land use as well.
Oh, that as well.
Cause they generally make it more permissive again. And then, less restrictive in the location.
Well, the location is probably the most restrictive part of it.
Alright, so if you guys feel that you want me to bring back another amendment, amending what will be either adopted or,
City council's gonna think we're crazy.
well,
They already think.
I think that, but, it was discussed at the last council meeting, so they're aware of the situation.
Well, I don't understand how we can say that, you know, why can't we have it anywhere and then also say it needs a special land use? I mean, what's the argument of requiring a special land use?
Well, a special land use is intended for, the body, the planning commission, to take certain uses that might be, that need a little bit, more look into, depending on the type of use that they are within the district that they are.
Right, but it's usually like parking or harmonious with the surrounding area, and we're
Yeah.
not gonna be able to stop any of that if they meet those requirements.
Right.
So that whether or not we wanted to, we wouldn't have the ability to really make a decision on stopping it. I can't conceive of a case where we would say you don't get the special land use.
Yeah, unless the application is just incomplete, they don't provide enough information.
Well, the staff would stop that anyway though, right?
Usually, we try to, or we bring it forward and say that we're missing this.
Don't just make it a permitted use. Wouldn't that be the simplest thing?
We, just to
Usually,
not go past that too, we had a discussion a couple of years ago that anytime staff wanted to bring something before the council, they could. I don't know if that's in your memory banks or you know that. We talked, this is a separate discussion.
oh, you're talking about before the planning commission?
Before the
Yes,
planning
yes,
commission.
you can.
Yeah.
So if
So
I
if
feel,
if you ever felt uncomfortable about anything for any reason, you could bring it before the council.
yes,
Okay.
Even if it's permitted use, I thought it was a site plan you could bring, a site plan review you could bring. I
it
didn't.
is a site.
I don't
plan.
think-
Well, I'd
if
have
it's
to double.
permitted, I don't think we can say no.
No, I didn't say we could say no, but it was to protect the staff, so that.
If, yeah, I'd have to double check that, but
If they
yeah,
had a weird thing and they didn't wanna make the call, we said that they could bring anything before the council.
which, I mean, as long as there's enough guidance for me to make the call, I'm usually okay with it,
Yeah.
but.
So I understand, her point. But I don't think that we really have the power to
Say no,
say no.
right,
When it's a special.
Yeah,
Okay.
and why would we want to, and tattoo, that's what Chris is saying.
So, okay, just so I go back and I know what I'm supposed to do, you want, so then bring forward a new amendment.
that's up to the council, I guess. I don't.
No, that's up to you. Yeah, it's up to you guys
Right.
right now, because right now council's got
I meant
city
plan-
council.
Planning commission. sorry.
Okay.
Misspoke. Do you guys wanna see another?
I'm thinking at the meeting when we approved that, we had discussion, we had reasons at the time for why we put restrictions on 12 Monroe. From what we've heard so far, public is supporting this, at least the gentlewoman that came today. And I respect Audrey and the work that she does. Maybe I'd like to have her come and present her case or her logic for why there should be a permitted use with no restriction.
So just to reiterate what the DDA said in that, April 7th letter, all DDA supports tattoo parlors allowed by right. It does not support the exclusion of tattoo parlors from areas such as West Chicago, West Chicago and South Monroe. Board believes that this use should apply entire district without exception. So, I mean, she could certainly, that would be easy to ask her to do that. I mean, we could also wait another, because it's not like it's pressing yet. Until, because I know, planning commission member Bud had a couple points to say about it, and then, of course, Mike Beckworth also, had some points, but because of other allegations tonight, they weren't able to attend. So we could bring it back up next month as well and get everybody's input if we wanted to as well. And then bring Audrey.
Council might think we're less crazy if we have a month in the middle.
Yeah. Well, there's gonna be a little bit more than a month, but yeah. So, like I said, just discussion. We don't have to act on anything tonight if you guys aren't ready to. Obviously, I don't have anything to present forward for that.
I don't care either way. What do you guys think?
As far as on the tattooing,
Yeah,
I mean, I'd say permitted and allow it wherever.
well,
That's my opinion. Now, that's only two of us
Andrew's
here.
point was that we table it and let Audrey come in, or we'd have another discussion about it, bring it back. Or we can move forward.
Why are we, what's Audrey gonna tell us that we don't know? Maybe we just come to a meeting. Is there anybody here that doesn't think it should be allowed anywhere? I mean, is there anything wrong with it?
I think it's an antiquated
Right. exactly.
idea that
Mindset.
just hasn't been cleaned up.
Right, I agree. I mean, I guess it's what you two think.
I
Yeah.
didn't say anything. I just sitting next to him.
You're guilty too, then.
Down.
Well, I mean, Audrey's spoken through the DDA letter, so.
I certainly can just make a proposal, bring it forward, and then we can further discuss. And if we decide that we want to move forward with it, we can.
Do we want to just move forward so we don't have to talk about it anymore? Is that what we're thinking?
Well, I'm getting a little bit
Council's gotta
more.
approve it, right? If we make a motion to approve tattoo parlors as, permitted use, that would go to council's recommendation, right?
Yeah, just like it did with the current recommendation. that's
Make a
on the
motion that
table.
we allow tattoo parlors as a permitted use, period.
Okay, so then I'll bring back an amendment then.
Fine, let's see if
Okay.
it passes, but,
I'll support that.
okay.
Well, we don't have an amendment to vote on.
Yeah, I'll have to bring an amendment back.
Directing him to do it.
Okay.
Yes, okay. I
Yeah.
just,
And I would second the second.
Okay.
You're all in.
Yeah.
3/4, 3/5.
Yeah.
So, and then at the next meeting, hopefully we have a full board and, we can get the
Okay.
rest of you.
So we have a motion and a second and a second.
He does pay attention, doesn't
He does, once in a while.
Yes.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
All right, and I'll make this last one quick. Zoning Board of Appeals meeting was canceled due to lack of business for April. Same thing with HGC. Master plan update. I attended a council meeting on April 14th, presented the planning commission staff recommendation for this firm selected to conduct the master plan update, which will be progressive if you didn't know. I do have a meeting with them as well as Keith on Wednesday to begin housekeeping items. Zoning text amendments, both 871 and 872 were moved forward to the second reading. And then I don't know if you guys have gotten this in the past, but I figured it was good information with spring and the amount of work that's been going on in the city. So there's a number of permits that we've issued so far this year. And let me know if you're wanting to do any available trainings again. And there's the link there.
Cool. So we have to have another public.
Wait, yeah, if anyone has anything to follow up with.
So open it up. Close public comment. All right. Next meeting will be Monday, June.
I'll meet tomorrow on that. Shannon Bush thing, I'll keep both of us in it now. Gotta figure out what the 425 is. Yep. Then we're gonna lose